Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 19th episode of Book of Hours House of Light, our first run through the expansion, that is, playing as the archaeologist. And welcome back, librarian. Everything is remembered, Hush House endures. Now, I seem to have left myself a to-do. I'm starting to do this on both the stream and the dedicated episodes here. So it says, Orchard Keeper to 9, Hyksos lesson with Corso, vegetables and pears, inks, salon invitations, and salon cooking. So we'll see whether or not I can actually decipher any of that. So first thing I want to take a quick look at here is, so we're fixing and mending. Okay, so we are talking to the Orchard Keeper. So what I maybe should have done here, let's see here, we've got the Orchard Keeper at 2, a health will bring them to 3, the rain will bring them to 5, a tool will bring them to 6, and then we give them pears for food, and then dandelion wine for the drink. That will bring them to 9. Okay, so we're good for that. Now, Hyksos lesson with Corso. I'm curious if I've already sent the letter. I did. Okay, so we will use the Tin Spin Trio for that. For vegetables and pears. Now, this one I'm a little confused by in terms of the note that I left for myself. Presumably, this is talking about presumably I'm supposed to just be harvesting them? I would assume so, because we're getting ready for winter. Inks would be so that I can actually send out the invitation, so I can see the sense there. And then the cooking. Now, did I actually work out what I wanted to serve at this salon? I'm not entirely sure that I did. So if I take a look at the people who I can invite, it can be Serena Blackwood, Fraser Strathcoyne, Madame Bichet, Arthur Moore, and Corso Reverte. So that's 5 individuals. So that would be Forge, Scale, Forge, Lantern, and Grail. So let me just double check that I haven't... Okay. So I haven't worked out the order quite yet. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. I was also keeping notes of who teaches what languages, and I forgot to put Corso down. I think I have a decent memory for that now, but it doesn't always work, as I'm sure some of you will know from the other videos. Okay, so I do have a spreadsheet. I don't have it up on the screen, I realize, to help with the different dishes. So let's just take a quick minute here. So if we've got Serena as one of the guests, so we could do a ham and cheese toasty, we could do kedgeree, we could do poached mackerel, game pie, ham and egg casserole, roast pheasant, stargazy pie, steamed spring vegetable pie, honey haunted amber. Okay, so the one thing I wanted to really look at here, so first course, main course, puddings, there's a lot of Forge stuff. So let's say that Serena Blackwood and Madame Bichet are going to be the 2 easiest ones to satisfy so far as their tastes are concerned. Let's instead focus on Fraser Strathcoyne and the Scale. So that has a lot of main courses, a couple of side dishes, so pickled mackerel and pickled pilchards, which actually the pickled stuff is pretty easy to make. So maybe we'll do Fraser. So I'll say pickled fish just for simplicity. And then Arthur Moore. Now the lantern is a little bit tricky. I think the easiest one for me to do here would be the orange jumble, which would be a combination of almonds and sugar. In fact, for Forge, I can actually just deploy the almonds on their own as well. But let's say Arthur Moore is orange jumble. And the nice thing about that is that takes care of pudding. So we've got, for the pickled mackerel or pilchards, or actually I guess we could also do pilchards on toast, although that would involve giving up crusty bread as well. Let me just reevaluate this scale here for a second. So roast beef is actually pretty good for scale as well. Yeah, pickled pilchards actually turns out are good for both a main course and a side dish. Okay. I'll still say it's a side. And then Grail. Now, we've got a few things for Grail. In fact, fudge is great for Grail. But I wonder... Oh, I didn't appreciate that almonds also provide Grail. Now, cold pheasant with grape salad... Or hang on. Let me just double check here one more time. So I had a first course for the pickled No, side. Okay. So yeah, we don't have a first course yet, so I'm thinking maybe the pheasant with grape might be an answer then. So for Grail, we could do a scrambled egg, jugged pheasant. Sorry, jugged pheasant is a main course. Almonds, magnificent roast potatoes. Cold pheasant with grape salad. Plum croutons. It's a pudding. Okay, so let's do, for a first course with Grail. I'm actually kind of inclined towards the cold pheasant. So this leaves me with the forge again in terms of the main and then an additional dish. So one thing I'm kind of inclined to actually is marinated roast beef, because that covers us for forge and Grail. Oddly enough, I think the standard roast beef gives scale as well. I could be wrong on that. It does. Oh, so does the marinated though, so. So one more forge. And I'm thinking... Actually, magnificent roast potatoes would be kind of interesting. All right, so that gives me, that's kind of, I definitely have my work cut out for me, but I think that's actually kind of fun to try and build towards. This is one of the things for me, again, I kind of highlight this a lot, but I really do enjoy the process of trying to sort of figure it all out in terms of like how I'm going to make everybody happy, who I'm going to sit next to each other in terms of the salon. So I know it sometimes takes a while to get this all figured out, but it's one of the things that I think is kind of a nice little reward for the DLC. There's something nice about everything fitting just right. Now, one slight bit of confusion I have is I gave myself this to-do list, but I don't seem to have assigned sort of a destination for weaving and knot working. Now, the easiest thing I suppose I could do here, with preservation, there is the option of weaving and knot working. Okay, so one thing I was thinking about with weaving and knot working is that is a that is one that potentially I can use to make, was it Pribiot, I believe. So it's a little hard for me to argue that I want to level this up. Like, so if I level it up one more, then we have the two. Actually, you know what? With it as it is, I could use a heart, my health, and a kitchen bowl as well. Right, so I don't have the same argument for that. So in that case, let's take a look at my hearts. So surgeries and exsanguinations, quenchings and quellings, and edicts inviolable will help me there. Or with moth, we could level up inks of revelation, edicts liminal. Or, well, you know, I suppose one of the things that's funny here, while I don't put too much stock in Inks of Revelation on its own. I think in this case it may help me. So, although having memory satisfaction, leveling up a heart one would be slightly easier. So we could use Edicts Inviolable or Quenchings and Quellings for that. Or Surgeries and Exsanguinations. But I would also... No, I can use the Tryst. Okay, so I think I'm going to level up Edicts Inviolable given what I currently have available. Part of the reasoning behind this, again, first of all, I want to get everything up to at least level 2. And then I also, in this case, I would like to use as many of my elements of the soul towards things that are a little bit more... I want them to sort of be focused on my current goals, which would be learning languages and, well, I guess opening a room now. But I kind of want to gear things around sort of making sure that the salon's taken care of, and where I can, I just want to make sure that I'm focused on my current goal. So no more books for the next little while. Let's just see what I've currently got on the shelf. So yeah, we've actually got pickled pilchards ready to go. Pickled mushrooms won't do the trick, so let's put that in the Hall of Division. I guess this is a side dish. So that's sorted. The orange jumble is a combination of sugar and almonds, so I better have almonds or I'm gonna cry. Alright, let's get the waterworks started up. This suggests to me that perhaps... Alright, so we've got a golden marrow, so this is suggesting to me that perhaps I had a different set of dishes in mind. It's also possible that the almonds are just in another part of the house, but I'm thinking we probably didn't. That's actually a real blunder on my part if I didn't order the almonds. Those are kind of a no-brainer to bring in. Okay, well, lesson learned. I will order some more accordingly. This may mean that I want to use the golden marrow instead. Those are pretty good as a side dish anyway, but it does mean that I'm short a pudding. So let's actually take a minute here under Grail in terms of puddings that I can find. Well, Orange Jumble also meets that requirement, so... The one real drawback here is that to make a pudding, it actually involves quite a bit of effort. Usually I need some kind of intermediate ingredient like a meringue to make this work. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to make an order for some almonds. And I'll go a little crazy on this one just because I'm going to use a lot of them. So normally I do something like 3. I think in this time I might do 6. And again, it seems strange that I wouldn't have done that, but I don't see any evidence of them. I'm just trying to think. Probably the best I could do would be to highlight forge stuff. Oh! There they are. Sneaky. Okay, well this will give me something to start with. I'll definitely want to order more though. So yeah, it seems to me if I had a golden marrow sitting on the shelf, I almost certainly had other plans, but this is what I'm working with now. And then I have, there's obviously the matter of the drinks and such, but we'll worry about that a bit later. I have some other priorities to deal with today. Okay, I think we're good to go. Poured out. Is this... Alright, so why did I pour out this water? Could be to restore an element of the soul, but we don't quite have that yet. This gives me heart, moon, and winter, so that's definitely not for a guest. So I'm just going to put it in this room. I'm also getting a little bit used to the new, I'm getting a little bit used to the new, this playthrough just because I was playing recently on the stream, so forgive me for being a bit out of it. Okay. So, once the almonds are taken care of, there is something of a question as to whether or not we're going to have everything we need in time for the salon anyway. Although, I mean, we get to decide when to start it whenever we would like. The other challenge that we have is that the servant's kitchen range, realistically, all I can do right now is cook with my health. Anything else, and I'm sort of stuck. So I really basically get to make one dish a day. But we'll get through it. Again, I have, in terms of committing stuff to the Tree of Wisdoms, I do have the option of getting a couple more if it comes down to it. Although right now I'd kind of like to, if I can, I would like to try and reserve at least a few of the skills. Mostly just, I'd kind of like to make some decisions that will allow me to get a bit more mileage in the salon. So it's tricky in the sense that I have a rough idea of where I'm going to put things, but if I can avoid a final decision until I know for sure what I'm going to need for that day, that'll help me. All right, we'll work alongside each other. I'm going to take the time here to load up the health. Next up, we talk about the weather with the Orchard Keeper. Talk about the weather, more useful than one might expect, especially in Britain. And consider, the skill is now level 2, its power aspects have also increased. Okay, so what we want to do now is just take a minute here and see if there's anything else that I can do with my elements of the soul that would be advisable. So normally, I would probably want to take my tryst and go to Crowcross Sands. You know, getting stuff like extra fish and such would be nice. We currently just have the pilchards. Having some mackerel would be nice in terms of making a new dish. But I also want to catalog some books, so I think I'm gonna have it both ways. So one trip to Crowcross Sands. What has the sea seeded today? And then we will use one to catalog. In this case, we'll use a nocturnal book just because those are the least likely to have a curse. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's nocturnal period after the turn of the century. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Books from this period are almost never contaminated. And then we'll do the same with the metal, although it does seem to be... I've tested this a couple of times now, and it does seem that the metal is immune to curses, so we'll take advantage of that to read some of the scarier books, or catalog some of the scarier books, rather. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's dawn period, sometime before the end of the first millennium, commonly reckoned. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. So there's a little bit of a rush in terms of the Orchard Keeper here, just because we do want to get our language lessons with Corso reasonably soon. Let's take a minute here and just make sure there isn't anything from TRN, that we want to order. So we've got almonds, beef, plums, pheasant, drinking cocoa, Armagnac, Lambic, Brusselende, Raveline, Domaine Raveline, Roscragan whiskey, Strathcoin, Schloss Jannings, desiccated witchworms, arsenic, and Naveen parchment. Seems okay to me. Excuse me. We could probably do with some more sugar, but that's a separate order, so we're going to send that off to, where are we? 18, so Florin should do. Complete the order. Excuse me. All right. I don't want to go crazy with the orders, but there's a lot of helpful stuff that we can get here. So we will take the sugar. Order sugar from Cater and Hero. The postmistress signs and seals the order, places it in the place that stamped orders are properly placed. Wait 3 days, she commands. Okay, I think that's what we need, but I'm going to just double check here. So dripping, flour, milk, potatoes, butter, sugar. Again, all of this is stuff that I could theoretically use, but I'm okay keeping it to the sugar. And the half crown in this case. Complete the order. Thought that was 3 pence for some reason. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Now, again, this isn't a game about making money, but I do want to try and get a little bit more cash right now, just because we did spend a bunch on salon equipment, aka cooking ingredients. But again, what I'll maybe hope to do with the Shaft at the end of the day is catalog another book with it. The other thing that I would like to do, if I can, I think I've got a couple of packages sitting around. I put them in inconvenient places. There we go. Oh, we've actually got 3 of them. So yeah, I probably want to use the Shaft for that. In fact, I can do that right now. A box of oddities, a tiny treasure of forgotten things. Perhaps there's a real oddity. Excuse me, a real oddity in here somewhere. Okay, Corso's almost here. Let's take advantage of the weather while it lasts. So I believe I now need... So again, we're looking for nectar, so in this case we should have the mortar and pestle to help out. Just taking a minute to make sure that I've got this. So this should bring it up to 6, which it is. And I'm curious if we've already poured the dandelion wine. If not, I should get on that. Okay, looks like we haven't. I'm also wondering if we have... Okay, see, this looks like we have poured dandelion wine. It's also a very difficult one to find if you put it down somewhere, so... Pour out. Pour it out. Now I have an idea of this book's nature and its contents. So this was cursed. Those who do not sleep, the mystic Broadnax discusses the origins of the Sister and Witch and of the Thunderskin. And looks like we got hit on our tryst as well. So the locksmith's stream of light through the keyhole was hit by actinic theoplasma. This book has suffered the attention of one of the bright names or hours, the gods from light. This contamination can affect your Faust and your Tryst and spread to nearby objects. You can remove it with a skill that is effective against theoplasmic contamination if you provide at least 7 forge. So that's going to be a little bit of a pain for me to get rid of, but that's life. Despairing. Melancholy is the mist on the soul's water. Despair is the wolf that prowls at the water's edge. So here we have edge. Now, this isn't the end of the world. This can, in certain circumstances, actually help with cooking. Unfortunately, we do not yet have the kitchen that allows me to do that. But what I will try and do is anything that takes edge. So, for instance, Edict's Martial. This is a rather helpful... Or, sorry, I need to be able to use a tool with this. But I think we can still make that happen. So if we take Edict's Martial, if we take the Tryst, and... oh, you know what? We probably don't have the cucurbit barrette yet, but we do have the knife. Oh, shame on me! I should have used the bronze knife with the orchard keeper. I could have saved myself the pears. Anyways, neither here nor there. So yeah, this is an example of one thing that I can build out of it. Now, in fairness, this isn't the most exciting thing I can be doing with my edge right now. So let's see about Ragged Crossroads. That's also Libitic Tincture. And then if I want, basically anything that'll take edge and forge, so this is the foundry, I can basically just whack away at making bitter black salts all night without any, I don't need to really worry about any consequence. The only drawback is that I don't think the bitter black salts really gets me anything. So, yeah, the tricky part here is I'm really trying to find something that I could use. Like, I really want to try and make something worthwhile with it. I guess while I can, I'll make what I can. So bitter black salts. It's actually just as well that I'm getting a batch of those anyway, because I'm going to be building or making or however one produces bitter black salt. I guess that won't hurt just because I tend not to use a lot of these intermediate ingredients, and this might give me a reason to try and push out a little bit. My real hope, though, is to try and leverage this to make some inks. I need to think about some ways that I can do that, though. Corso incoming? Did Corso receive my invitation? Manuscript hunter, legacy, scavenger, mercenary? Many would question his ethics, few would deny his acuteness. Fragrant pears, soft in the hand. So this one probably winds up with the Orchard Keeper. And we'll leave him on the bridge for now. This tool has boosted their aspects appropriately. I can offer my assistant something to eat. This will also increase their this will increase their aspects. It's also just friendly. So in 1 minute we'll be able to start language lessons with Corso. And I think the rest of the day is going to be spent sort of earning some money at the Sweet Bones until I can find something better to do. The mangled tryst really messes with me here. So I'm going to need 5 sky for that. So this suggests to me at some point I'm going to want to decamp from this bed. I should maybe take a minute and see. I don't think we have any beds that will take sky at the moment. I don't believe... Yeah, so... we may open up some other options as we open up more of the house. But my best bet would be to try some of the skills that... I think bells and braziers would be the real answer here. So we're going to look for 5, and then we said... we just need 5? Okay, this is actually a pretty easy one then. So really what we're looking for is something that takes forage. So the infirmary doesn't help. The guest bed does. I kind of like the idea of trying to get a little bit further into the house, though. So guest bed in the Motley Tower is the most likely candidate right now. That will require... actually, it's also not that big of a hardship to give up the moth. So I might... so I was going to use this for something else. But I think at this point, I don't think it's a bad idea for me to decamp and just make our move to the Motley Tower. Hush House is a mansion of many rooms. I will move to a different one, or add other cards if you'd like to try something else. Okay, we've got Whispering Sand, not my favorite, but we can turn that into something that requires glass. Sea-strewn, salt-snared stuff. And rest and refreshment autumn. Fixing and mending. For this, I'm actually going to bring back a tryst. It is autumn when the leaves rustle. The silent landlady has served me apple pie with steamed cream in the window nook. And we found a pale mommet. For some reason, I've always kept the mommets in the infirmary, but we've actually used up all the space for now. So let's put the pale mommet... I'll somewhat unusually put it in the music room. Conservatory, Nazarene room. Okay, one last conversation with the gardener, or orchard keeper. A nice drop. I can offer my assistant something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They will also be glad of the refreshment. One can cook with bitter black salts, but only if one uses them very sparingly. Bitter black salts, bitter as chicory, dark as secrets, but the first rung of the traditional alchemical ascent. I think we'll do the same here. I could also try opening more of the packages. Gather my belongings, refresh the sheets for any guests I might have, ready to move on. Okay, so down to the Russians. This has boosted their aspects appropriately. So, we're ready to go opening things with the Orchard Keeper. Let's talk with Corso. I don't need an appointment, do I? Tutoring Hyksos. My visitor can teach me the rudiments of the Sly language. After tutoring you, the visitor will leave, even if they arrived on other business. So, 3 minutes, we will... the nice thing about this is not just about reading Hyksos, but it's actually about the fact that I can get another element of the soul and potentially open another branch of the Tree of Wisdoms. That's not a rule in the game, that's more just about how I play, but in this case it's helpful. Okay, so the Root-Throng Descent. Now the unfortunate thing is I think we're at the very end of autumn, so we may have had some other nectar rooms we can open up. Let me just double check. So yeah, we could have opened the Rose-Haunted Hall. I don't see how we could have done the collapsed cellar, though, so... yeah, I'll settle for the Root-Throng Descent. The roots here are a labyrinth of years. How long is it since anyone has passed this way? It's a little bit of a different day than I was planning. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the health. I'm going to restore the health first. Then I'll use the shaft at the end of the day to earn a bit of money. This is mostly just so that I can get one last stab at the gardens before they go away. Better now. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. Okay. So, for the tryst, let's go up to the Motley Tower. Guest bed Motley. An exile slept here long ago. I'll make this my lodgings for the time being. Move your belongings into this room, and then you can use this bed to rest with soul cards and recover maladies. So on that note, let's take a minute here and think about how we're going to recover the tryst, because... or, hang on. Yeah, we're one sky short. Now, if I make... Blue Crown tea. I'm good, but I don't think we have any available right now. So the other one is the Veiled Goddess Lapsang Suchong. Normally I leave that for Denzel. But this might be a case where I want to make an exception, maybe? I don't know. It does mean I have to use my health for that. You know what? I think I am. One more with these. We've got 2 grapes. It's not my favorite amount, but I think what we can do is we can unpack the vegetable sacks, and then we'll get something that we can probably feed to the chickens. The Deepwell Descent. Each of the great roots here carries a garden of fruiting fungus. Great black bumblebees buzz improbably between them, gathering spores, droning peace. So sand. An hourglass, of course, is sand contained by sand. Atlantic amber, sunset's colors, pine's blood. And a tall parcel, tightly wrapped in oilcloth. And then below we have the wheel-filled spring. The pool here is filled with rusting and rotting wheels. Was this some attempt to block it, or were the wheels thrown down the well above as offerings? In either case, it'll need to be cleaned out and suitable offerings made to appease the powers to whom this place is holy. So we'll take the parcel, we'll move it upstairs just to follow through on our kind of parcel queue. And I think I will call it there. I know this is a little bit of a lazier day, but we did get a few things done. We also had a couple of steps back. We had 2 cursed books, so essentially we cataloged, but we didn't really get access to new books. We're on our way to opening up, or to getting a new bed. And I think, again, we're going to be a bit behind in terms of the salon, but I'm going to... One of the things that's actually going to be nice about this is in winter... There's 2 big things that are going to happen. Number 1, we will have I believe we get an Arab from Hyksos. I think I put Hyksos in Skolakosophy for Arab, if I'm not mistaken. So that will mean that in a season when I'm not able to access anything from the gardens, I can use my core, my Arab, and my health to do some cooking. So we're not as far behind as it first seemed as far as sorry, I'm stumbling over my words again. It's not as bad as I thought. We're going to have 3 elements of the soul to be able to fill out the remaining items for the salon. We're also going to have access to fishermen. So fishermen give us 2 moon. And of course, we also have moon through the tryst, and we have a couple of items that we can use to boost our moon. So the abandoned storeroom, possibly the veiled chamber. I might need to get lucky on that one. Heart haunted room. I think it's debatable that these 2 will work out. Yeah, we definitely have... I think we've got a reasonable shot at getting a couple of these moon rooms opened up. So I think we have quite a bit to look forward to in the next few episodes, but that will be happening on Wednesday. The Tuesday, as usual, is a day off, and one magical day I will get back to recording the videos that I used to do on Tuesdays, but still very busy. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to hopefully doing a salon. I suspect we can probably get to the salon before the end of this week's episodes, as long as there aren't too many things that pull my attention away. But as always, we'll see how it goes. I certainly don't mind spending some time exploring Hush House if that is an opportunity that comes up. Either way, thanks for watching again, and we will see you in the next one.